Welcome replay viewers, and hello everybody. Well, hello to you, Rap 43 in Phoenix. How are you doing today? Nice, cool, clear day here on eastern Long Island. A little bit of a north wind still. More like late February, early March temperatures than early April temperatures. Andy, hello to you in the UK. Thank you for joining. Let's see, you're about 5 hours ahead of us. So evening time in the UK already. I trust that everyone is doing well, staying healthy, staying safe. We're, what's the phrase we use? Sheltered in place, although I'm not sure if we really want to use that phrase or not, but isolated, physically isolated here at home. Just going to the grocery store when we need to. The trains are running, yes, to our area, but they're on a modified schedule now. They did away with the regular Monday to Friday weekday commuter hours and service level, and they cut back to a schedule that's more like a weekend schedule. So there are less trains running. Actually, it almost duplicates the Saturday-Sunday off-peak service now. Andrea, good afternoon to you. How are you holding up there, my young friend? I hope you're safe and well in Queens. I hope you're staying sheltered. I know you're going through some rough times there in New York City right now. And the caseload, unfortunately, sadly for all of us, is now starting to increase here on Long Island, Suffolk County, Nassau County. Although we certainly do not have anything near the problem that New York City is experiencing. And I see we have from Great Britain, UK, we have a visitor, and we know how things are over there from what we see in the newscasts here. We're doing very well. We stay sheltered in place here. I'll use that term. Isolated in place here from physical contact with other folks. We've set up a policy now where we go out to the supermarket, local King Cullen or other markets in the area, maybe once every 5 days now, rather than every other day. And normal times, sometimes we would go every day, but we've cut back on that. People have been very good. We have contact via social media, for instance, as we're doing right now, and we have FaceTime calls with the family, and people call up on the telephone just to check on us to see how we're doing. I see that, Andy. I was looking at a weather map earlier today, and I see where UK now has hot weather sweeping up north through your area, but my goodness, that's going to be tough to deal with because you all are supposed to be indoors right now, staying indoors. Well, you will make the most of it. We have a nice April day here, although I mentioned a few minutes ago, it's still on the cool side. This is more like an early March day than early April day, only in the low 50s. We had an offshore storm here for the last couple of days, and for a while the National Weather Service was thinking it might even develop into a subtropical low and have some tropical characteristics. But I don't think that happened. But anyway, it's starting to drift east now, move out across into the North Atlantic. But yesterday afternoon we had wind gusts 40-45 miles an hour out here, rain showers, and we had a flood tide come over at high tide this morning up over the top of the bulkhead. Let me show you that. Let me just swing around here. Andy, you're gonna, well, happy birthday to you next week. Yes, you will be celebrating at home, and any guests who will be doing drive-by happy birthday wishes. Sure, I'm sitting along my bulkhead here at the waterfront, and you see the platform right in the middle there that I'm showing you? That had been picked up by the high tide this morning and swept up further up on the lawn. So the water came in about 20-30 feet or so at high tide this morning. But it's back lower now. So with this offshore storm, we did have coastal flooding here on the east end. And here's our mallard duck. Mac, where's Quack? Where's the female? Let's get organized here. So things are pretty rough here as far as the pandemic, and obviously they're just as bad in the UK and Europe and still in Italy. But if we can get through the next few weeks here in the metro New York area, phase 1 of this, I think we'll be all right. It's not going to go away overnight, and it's not going to disappear even for months. But sadly and unfortunately, the rest of the United States is now going to be hit hard. And some places in our country where they just didn't think this would be a problem, or they just didn't think about planning to get ready for it. I can think of Florida, some of the Midwestern states, which don't even have stay-in-place orders issued yet, because they don't think there's any need for it. But sadly, that is not the reality. And I just hope everybody's okay there. But unfortunately, what's going to happen is you're going to have tremendous breakouts of this disease in the middle of the country over the next 2 to 3 weeks. It's inevitable. The governor here, Governor Cuomo, was on his briefing today, is hopeful that we will reach the peak of this curve here within another 7 to 14 days. And these stay-in-place orders seem to be doing the trick for the most part. Although there still, unfortunately, are a lot of people that are ignoring it to their own peril. I just can't believe how life has changed so much for us in the last few weeks. The few times that I do go out, obviously there's to the store, as I say now, every 4 or 5 days now, but so little traffic, so few people out walking. Although out here it's not like it is in New York City, where you would have a lot more pedestrian traffic. One thing I noticed here, and it may this, if you can think of some silver linings out of all of this, and obviously it's not a good comparison, but I noticed this. The air is cleaner. The atmosphere is much cleaner because there's a lot less jet plane traffic. And what this reminds me of is the week after 9/11, when all aircraft traffic was shut down for a week and there were no more contrails up above. Now there's one jet just going over right now, but that's like a rare thing to hear right now, because we're normally in this location, we're under the approach patterns into Kennedy Airport in Queens, in New York City, because we're about 65 miles east of New York City, JFK Airport, and most of the overseas flights across the North Atlantic come in over eastern Long Island where we are, and then they start to descend into Kennedy Airport. That's Andy. I see what you're talking about. They've done the same thing here. Yeah, the 2 meters are 6 feet in the English or American English system. 2 meter in the European and the UK system. It's about the same, right? What, 1 meter is 39 inches, so it's more like 7 feet, 2 meters. But they've done that in supermarkets here and other stores, grocery stores that are open. They put markers on the floor where you can stand with your grocery carriage, stay away from the person in front of you. And they've installed plexiglass sneeze guards along the checkout counters so that the checkout cashiers are somewhat protected. Oh, so you do hear some aircraft chatter on between the controllers and the traffic in the metro New York area, but no, the air traffic here is definitely much reduced over the past 2 weeks here, and it's very similar to the time frame right after 9/11. When all air traffic in North America was shut down. But there still are some planes flying. Hi to you, Craig. Good to see you joining us. JD, thank you for joining. I hear a siren in the background. That may be an ambulance call. I don't think it's a fire call. Yeah, that's either ambulance or police call, not a regular fire truck. Although the local volunteer fire department we have here, the siren went off about half an hour ago, so maybe they're still responding to something in the area. Usually it's unfortunately it's an auto accident that they respond to. Not worried about house fires. I want to show you something here that, if I can dig it out of my pocket. This is pretty neat. Let's see if I can hold this up again. See this mask? This is a homemade mask that a Facebook friend of my wife made for us. She's been making a lot of these, and she made these two, especially for her friends, Mr. and Mrs. Ryan. And the story really is she's a friend, but she was a classmate of my daughter our daughter in the local high school here back in the 1980s, and she now is Facebook friends with my wife. Is there anything we can do for you? You know, this is great, right? The younger folks are taking care of us old-timers here. And I said, well, you know, Jean, my wife Jean, had given material and elastic bands to another woman in town who was trying to make masks for local health workers. And they ended up, the IGHL system took some of those masks. So we said, you know, I guess we could really use one of a mask or two, since they're saying now let's start using them to go to the store. So these were made for us the other day. So I wear this now when I go out to the supermarket. Pretty neat, eh? Look at that. And the elastic bands go over your ears, and it's the shape of it. You see where my fingers are. In other words, I'm holding this upright. So that's shaped to fit over the crown of your nose, and it covers your nose and your mouth and protects you somewhat. It's not a N95 mask or anything by any measure like that, and it also keeps us from spreading anything onto other people that we'll come in contact with in a store. So we're going to start wearing those all the time that we go out. Well, we're pretty prepared, Craig. We have plenty of supplies in the house, and as I mentioned, we just have cut back our shopping now to once every 5 or 6 days rather than every other day of going down to King Cullen. Yeah, I see what you're saying there, second flush. I don't blame you. Well, go with the flow, but, you know, protect yourself and protect those around you. Obviously, if you're at home and in your own yard or anything like that, you're not going to be thinking about wearing it. Hey, gull, what are you yapping about? The herring gull resting on the dock there. But it can't hurt to wear it when you go out to a store or you're in closer proximity than you want to be to people. Give it a shot. And it doesn't have to be any exotic mask. I have these, what I call engineering handkerchief bandanas, you know, like you see the train drivers use and everything, engineers. So before I had this thing, I was wrapping one of those around my mouth and nose, and tying it in the back. What are these guys yapping about? Let's go over here and look at what they're doing. Two herring gulls on the end of the dock. And they're not arguing about a fish or a clam or anything, because usually what these guys do at low tide is they'll come in and they'll grab a hard shell clam off the bottom and then drop it on the dock to smash it open to get a meal. Or in the warmer weather, they'll grab a blue claw crab swimming along the top of the water and come in and have a feast with that. Yeah, they're talking about me. They're saying, why am I bothering them in their setting here? Seagulls, you bet. Seagulls. This particular type of seagull is a herring gull. He's next to the largest one here in this East Coast area. There's a blackback gull. Hey. The black-backed gull is slightly larger than the herring gull, and so in the scheme of things, when food is available, they kind of take over from the other gulls. Yeah, they're talking about me, all right. They do. Hey, gulls, say hello. Say hello to all the folks around the world that are watching you in our country and in UK, New York City. Yeah, they are beautiful birds. They are beautiful creatures. The coloring is, look at that golden beak and the white neck, crown, and head, and those gray feathers. Really, really nice looking flying guy there with his webbed feet so they can paddle along in the water. Our resident swans are not here right now. They've built a nest across the creek here, and so the female is now incubating eggs. Let's see if I can get a zoom in on that. Show you where that is. The male may be up there by the nest with her also right now, because I do see a blob of white across the creek from me. 600 feet or so across in the direction we're looking. Let's see if I can zoom in. If I can hold this steady for you. See that little like white dot in the middle of the picture? Those are the swans over there, and they built a nest in the reeds. Oh, the thieving gulls. Yeah, have a picnic on the beach and they'll come in and rob your food right out of your hands. Anyway, right across from us now is the mute swan nest for this season, so maybe in another month or so we'll see the little ones swimming by here. Let's see if I can pinch down without ruining this video. There we go. Okay, that's full panorama view, looking out to the south toward the bay and the barrier beach, and then across the other side is the Atlantic Ocean. Is that right? They're part of the Queen's estate. I guess you call it a state, or isn't that something? Well, all the swans you see here obviously are imported from Europe, primarily the UK. I mean, they're not natural to North America. They were brought here in the 1800s, early 1900s. Isn't that something? They have no natural enemies here, so they're not a protected species here in New York. And as a matter of fact, sometimes the Department of Environmental Control had wanted to have a thinning out program for these swans because they were reproducing so much here in the metropolitan New York area. Isn't that something? Still the law. Good. Here comes a boat in. Somebody went out for a boat ride or fishing out there today. We get into the warmer weather, we'll start to see more and more boat traffic here. Alright, good people. I just wanted to share a little bit of this peaceful setting for everybody. All my good friends around the country and around the world. Because let's watch this boat before we shut down. Let's watch this guy go out. Looks like he's going out fishing late in the afternoon here, mid-afternoon. Going out to the bay and probably out over toward Moriches Inlet, where the ocean water flows in and out. Oh, you're welcome. Certainly my pleasure to share this with everybody. We don't have any purple martins yet. I have the one house up, and I haven't put the second purple martin house up yet because all of a sudden the weather turned colder and nastier and everything. But that's on my list of things to do for either tomorrow or Monday. We're supposed to get back up into the 60s by late tomorrow and Monday. So we'll get this second purple martin housing complex up. Yeah, here's one boat going out to go fishing. And here's another boat coming back in to the creek. I just went out for a ride. That's this silly neighbor whistling at a boat because he thinks he's going too fast. Kicking up a wake. Here's the purple martin house that we put up last week. I had it lowered down halfway with these high winds yesterday. See, it goes up to the top of that pole, but I cranked it down. Let's get through this. Cranked it down so it didn't go berserk in the high winds here. No purple martins have showed up yet, but hopefully within the next week they will start to arrive here with us. Well, let me do this. You're not getting a good view of that. I have my iPhone in the gimbal stabilizer. So maybe tomorrow I'll raise this up. Maybe I'm too much zoomed in, you're right. Okay, let's tilt this. And the other pole is over here. So in the next 2 days we'll attach the other set of houses to this pole and raise that up for the season. So I'll have 2 purple martin nesting sites here for the season, and we'll keep an eye on when they arrive. Okay, gang. Will Rich, thank you for joining. We're going to close down now though, and appreciate everybody enjoying the visit here. Please, wherever you are, stay safe, be well, and we'll see everybody again in the near future. Take care, good people.